Hello? Hello?
Hello, is this Rudy Davis?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I saw your number on the internet here, and I thought I'd give you a call and let you know that I looked at Schaeffer Cox's case for many, many hours last night and today, and I'm going to see about getting on his case to help him. I was in federal prison for quite a few decades, and I reversed 4 life sentences while I was in. And there's no question that he got a wrongful conviction, and he deserves to be out.
Well, I'm grateful to hear you say that, and any help you can give Schaeffer, I'm sure, would be much appreciated, and I certainly appreciate it.
Yes, I don't know how you're related to him, but yeah, he really got a bum deal, a setup, and he never should have been convicted. And the courts should have. I don't know if he had the effective assistance of counsel in his original trial, but I'm still looking into this, and I'm going to review his court proceedings and go from there. But yeah, I'm going to see what I can do for him. He's at Marion, and I'm going to send him a letter to let him know, and also that I don't know if Marion will let him have my letter. I spent 19 and a half years at that penitentiary, and those people, those guards and everything, they don't like me at all. But Rudy, I just thought I'd let you know, and when you talk to him, you can let him know that my name is Martin McNally, and
okay.
I'm going to see what I can do on this case for him.
All right. You think it's just curious? Are you familiar with a YouTube channel? There's a Marion guard who has retired now, and he's out making YouTube videos about his time at Marion Prison.
Yes, I know all about him. He was there when I was there, and he knows me well. He posted a video about me, Martin McNally, and you can. He made a comment on his video that of all the inmates that he met, I was the smartest, most intelligent person that he ever came in contact with. I was surprised to hear that from him, but I know the dude that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I just saw the. I just found the video now. Air Pirate Martin J. McNally. I'll check it out.
That's correct.
Do you think? So you didn't get a chance to meet Schaeffer when you were there. You must have got out before he went in.
I got, yeah, of course. I got out way before he got there. I left there on July the 31st of 1997.
Okay, the volume went way down, but okay.
Yeah, there's a lot about me on the web too.
Okay.
You'll see that as you Google my name and look at that.
So
Riverfront Times here in
it sounds like you got quite a life story to tell. You know, I consider Schaeffer a very good friend. I've communicated with him, and I've probably thousands of times. I've put up over 1,000 videos. We have I'm very close communication with his main website, freeschaeffer.com. There's another video out called Department of Injustice. I don't know if you have an email address, I could probably send you a tremendous amount of information on his case. I've spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours on studying his case as well, and I would love to share with you that information.
Yes. Have you got a pencil?
Yes, sir.
Or pencil or pen?
I got a pen.
Okay, my email address is Martin McNally 692 at gmail.com.
Gmail.com?
Yes.
Okay, and McNally is M-C-N-A-L-L-E-Y?
No. It's Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N.
Yep.
McNally, M-C-N-A-L-L-Y, 692 at gmail.com.
Okay, gotcha. You know, he spelled it wrong on his video, what he did about you. He spelled it.
I noticed that.
Okay.
I noticed that, too.
Okay. I'll get you a lot of information. Anything that you can do or any questions that you have, never hesitate to reach out. I'm pretty much on Schaeffer's case, full time, and I'm very familiar with what they have said about him. I'm familiar with the lies, and I think he's answered pretty much every accusation that's ever came against him. And like I said, I have an entire library of information on his case. So if you come across anything, let me know, and I'd be glad to give it to you. And I'm almost concerned. Do you think I should mention your name? Mention your name. It might throw up some red flags with the powers that be, and maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe.
Well, you could. I don't know about that, but I didn't know he had access to core links. He does, though, huh?
Yes, he sure does. I don't. I've been banned. They have banned me from communicating with him, so I simply cannot.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
You can just tell him that you met somebody who did a lot of time at Marion, and he's had 4 life sentences reversed. You can read that on the web all about that stuff there. That the article is by the Riverfront Times was the final flight of Martin McNally, and it's an 8,500 word feature article. It's the longest article that paper has done. There's 1 or 2 books being prepared right now about my life story, and there's a media company in London that Atlantic Productions Limited in London that's working on doing a movie about my life. But
okay.
Yeah, it's all some stuff, but it's in the works. But like I said, I reversed four life sentences in federal court. My out date was in 2082, and I was dead in the water if I didn't reverse those convictions. And I was also had a case where the FBI entered false perjurious testimony back in 1972. But I did 37 years flat with the feds, and they considered me the worst of the worst. And I was fortunate to make parole in 2010. I got out of prison, and they took me off of life parole about a year and a half ago. So I'm no longer on parole, and I can go anywhere in the country now. But I'm doing fine. 74 years old. I had a birthday the other day, but I just I don't know if what you want to tell them, but
okay.
I don't know if it would be advisable to mention my name.
All right, yeah, I'll probably just say someone who's done a lot of time, but I can't talk to him. I'll have to go through the proper process, because I can't. But I'll see if I can't find somebody who can talk to him. But you don't happen to know a man by the name of Yori Von Kahl, or Scott Fall, or Russell Landers, Leonard Peltier, Ed Brown?
Yeah, I know Leonard Peltier.
Okay, you do. How about Ed Brown or Daniel Riley or Jason Gerhardt? Does any of those ring a bell?
The other names don't ring a bell.
Okay, all right.
Are they prisoners?
Yeah, they are. They've been in prison for many of them over 10 years, some of them over 35 years.
Yeah. So most of the dudes, I don't recognize any of those names. Most of the dudes that I know, you probably heard about. Barry Mills, Tommy Silverstein, Michael McElherney, Ernie, and Clay Fountain. And I was there at Marion, and I was fortunate that they didn't send me to ADX when they opened that place up. But a lot of those guys.
Yeah. You still with me? It's the phone's gone quiet. I don't know if I've still lose you.
Cases that he mentioned, I'm well aware of all the facts and everything. He mentioned one guy, Robert Ramirez, and he died about 10 years ago. But Bobby,
hey, yeah.
Bobby had a murder case there in Marion. The murder happened in 1983, and I testified in his case when it went to court in 1986. And based on my testimony, both the defendants, he and his co-defendant, were acquitted by the jury. But I thought that was one of my biggest cases that I actually handled, testified for him. But yeah, it was some interesting stuff. But listen, Rudy, it's good talking to you. I'll be doing what I can. I don't know everything about this, but I'm still looking at it. And there's no question that I think Donald Trump needs to do something because this is a good case of fake justice, fake FBI procedures, false justice, and corrupt courts. All of these things come into play on this thing.
Yeah, no doubt about that, no doubt. You know, some of your conversation faded out there, and I heard portions of it, but it sounds like you got an incredible life story, so I wish you the best. You've had an incredible life. One last question before we hang up, and I don't mean to get too personal, I really don't, but I am myself a Bible-believing follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm just curious if you're a Christian. Not that it matters, you know, as far as our relationship, but I'm just curious if you identify as a Christian.
I grew up a Catholic. However, no, I'm not into that.
Okay.
I volunteer at a church here in St. I'm really not into that.
Okay, no, I understand.
For various reasons that I really don't care.
No, I understand. It's a personal issue. I just had to ask. Well, I wish you the best. Yeah. I wish you the best, and thank you for reaching out. And I will send you whatever information I had about Schaeffer. And if you have any questions, I have a tremendous amount of information on his case. So
I'm sure I will have some questions because I noticed that this Bill Fulton and some other things on this case.
You're fading out, but you came back. Yeah, you mentioned Bill Fulton. He is an absolute FBI traitor reprobate. But go ahead. What about Bill Fulton?
Some of the things that
you're fading out again. I'm so sorry. I can't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I probably was talking improperly into the phone, but I noticed that some of these tapes were not entered into evidence, were not allowed by the judge, and some of these things should have been gone to the jury. That they weren't presented to the jury is an issue that should have been raised on direct appeal.
No, amen.
Because
no, they have destroyed exculpatory evidence. There was an entire recording at what's called the Pikes Landing recording, and Bill Fulton recorded it on its own, and he was told by the prosecutor to destroy it. This whole case is full of Brady violations, withholding exculpatory evidence, using known perjured testimony. The prosecution in this case is the same prosecutors who got a false conviction on United States Senator Ted Stevens, Joseph W. Bottini, and the whistleblower came out named Chad Joy that talked about how bad they were doing and how corrupt they were in the case of Senator Ted Stevens. And they turned over Senator Ted Stevens' conviction, but they didn't turn over Schaeffer.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't, not all the details, but yeah, I remember the Ted Stevens case. I didn't know it was related until I looked at Cox's case.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of dirty tricks involved in this. In my case too, back in '72, there were dirty tricks. In my time, in all of my time, I probably fired. 10 attorneys for incompetence, collusion, and all that other stuff. And finally, I got one in Chicago. You could probably give this to Cox. That General Block has some good attorneys in Chicago. I noticed that he filed a case here in East St. Louis a couple of days ago. But,
now, who is that? You mentioned a name. I didn't catch it. Block? B-L-O-C-K? Or?
Yeah. That's Jenner, Jenner, and Block, BLOCK, Attorneys at Law, Chicago, Illinois. They represented me. There were 4 attorneys there, Jenner and Block, that helped me out in 1978. I was involved in that helicopter escape attempt there at Marion.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's quite an event. Yeah. I guess that caused quite a stir in the prison, I would imagine. It's amazing that you got out of there, given that you were involved in that and had a double life sentence. I'm interested to learn a little bit more about your case, because you have been through one heck of an ordeal. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, if I didn't reverse those convictions in '78, I got life plus 75 years plus 5 years and 5 years, all consecutive to the double life sentence that I was doing. Yeah, I was surprised that I got out of prison, and I got out of prison on a fluke, and I'll explain that when I write an email how that came about. But it's some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
At one point, I told the counselor that back in '09, June of '09, that I'm not going to the parole board anymore, because every time I go, they kick me in the head, and I'm finished with it. I'll just sit in prison and twiddle my thumbs and die in prison. And I signed the waiver form, but he didn't process it. He went on vacation. And the only reason that the waiver wasn't processed is because he went on vacation, and I had the parole hearing. But yeah, that was amazing stuff. But yeah, at one point I never ever thought I'd get out of prison.
Yeah, that's like I said, you've got an amazing story. There's another guy on YouTube named Hakeem Abdul Shahid, and he said, "Lest I be forgotten," and he talks about being tortured in Marion, just outright beat. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. I could send it to your email. I think one of the things that I am interested in is, and I'm interested in, you probably have limited time, I understand, but if you could give me your report, and we don't even have to give your identity, except you can say that you spent some time in Marion, if you think that there is torture and mistreatment and abuse going on inside that prison. But Hakeem Abdul Shahid said that there is,
Oh, there's no question about it. No question about it, dude. That I'm aware of a lot of guard abuses that occurred while I was there. I filed lawsuits for other inmates there, and yeah, there was a lot of mistreatment.
Some of the things that I've heard about is 4-point shackling, long cases of isolation, deprivation of food. You can't pray, you can't open a Bible. They play good cop, bad cop on you, psychological games. Outright beatings. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They do all of that. They do all of that. Like I say, I was there for 19 and a half years, and I saw all of that. People being beat up unjustifiably. They'd be handcuffed and hit in the back and taken to the floor.
I would love to get your words, because I think words from you, and you can identify yourself or not. That's completely up to you. But that
yes, I would identify myself. As a matter of fact, I have made some Gangland Wire. I gave them 10 hours of interview here. It's on the web. Gangland Wire.
Gangland Warrior?
Yes.
Gangland Warrior?
Gangland Wire.
Oh, Wire. Okay, all right.
Yeah, ganglandwire.com.
Okay.
There's 7 or 8 segments that they publish on me, and furthermore, they put them on YouTube. Those things are on YouTube, too. And
do you cover the abuse in Marion Prison?
I'm sure I did.
Okay.
No question about it. I was there, and I know Tommy Silverstein and Clay Fountain. I know the guard Gene Klutz and Robert Hoffman. Those 2 guards that were killed. Yeah, I have a history in the system, but I'm aware of a lot of that stuff that was going on. A lot of the killings and attacks on these guards. As a matter of fact, I was indicted twice at Leavenworth for attacking federal guards, federally indicted and taken to court.
Okay.
But I beat both of those cases back in 1975 and 1976. But yeah, it's some interesting stuff. Yeah, there's no question about the abuse and the attacks and deprivations and how they treat people. There was one guy, I'm trying to think of his name, back in 1976. He was at Marion, and they sent him to Springfield. He didn't want to go to Springfield, but they sent him down to Springfield, and he hung himself down in Springfield. But this guy was really abused. He was a black dude, a young dude. And there's another case where a fellow by the name of Hunchy Watkins was committed suicide on I think it was October 7th of 1987 or October the 15th of 1987. But about 8 o'clock at night, he asked for a blanket because he was freezing in his cell. He was in a cell two cells away from me, one cell away from me, an empty cell there. And at exactly 15 minutes after midnight, he hung himself. And when the FBI came in there to investigate it, to see what happened, I was the only prisoner who agreed to be interviewed. And I told the FBI agents that, yeah, Hunchy Watkins killed himself. He was 32 years old when he did it. And I know precisely the time that he did it at 12:17 a.m. in the morning, right after the midnight count. And they said, well, if you knew he was killing himself, hanging himself, why didn't you alert staff? And I said, well, listen, if any of these people want to kill themselves, it's not for me to stop them. That's their business, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I understand.
But, yeah, it's...
well, let me... yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, in any event, I'll let you go, and I'll be in contact with on email. And,
okay. And let me also share with you, because of the nature of my work, I have become a subject of a target as well as my wife. We've had Secret Service, FBI, U.S. Marshals at our front door. But we still advocate for these innocent political prisoners, and I, like you, believe Schaeffer is innocent. So I record all the calls, and I'm just letting you know up front that, you know, when you called, I had a recorder going. I will not publish any of this if you don't want me to.
That's quite all right. You can publish the recording, whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, because I'm very upfront with you. I mean, I don't want to be, you know, like behind the scenes or, you know, surprising.
Yeah.
But you've got such an incredible story and personal experience that I think people need to hear what you got to say. And also, it's important that they understand, you understand that Schaeffer has been a target as well. So we'll stay in touch. And if there's anything I can do to help you in your efforts, we certainly appreciate anything you can do to help Schaeffer.
Yeah, you can publish anything that I've said here. Then
okay.
Everything that I say is spot on, and I'm right up front, and the Federals don't like me at all.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for having that bold attitude. I appreciate that. So many people run around like mouses and they squeak in the background, but to be bold like that is a rare man, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't run around like a mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, Rudy, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, God bless you, Martin. Okay, bye-bye, Mr. McNally. Bye-bye.
That was interesting.
Wow, that was interesting. My.